All right, Champs Chats is back. We are at the 2023 U.S. Outdoor Track and Field Championships. I'm Chris Chavez, Kyle Merber. We got Caitlin Hutchison, Jasmine Todd in the house. Champs Chats is back because we've decided to partner with Under Armour for the first time ever. Really exciting.
Finally.
Yeah, made it happen. So we're hosting a group run on Sunday. We've put out a couple athlete highlight films on our YouTube channel that you can check out. We highlighted Wayne Colati, Charlene Lipsy. Both of them were in action today. We've got another one coming out tomorrow, so look out for those on the YouTube channel. How was your run this morning in the Flow Velocity Elites?
You slowed us down for sure.
Yeah.
And but besides that, a nice little tour of campus thanks to Mac. And we really took the long way to go get our credentials. But it was a nice run. We looked great.
I mean, we got hooked up. We're going to have a reel that comes out with all of the apparel that we were gifted, so look out for that. And we're going to be giving away shoes every day or spikes on the CITIUS MAG Instagram page. We hosted a prediction contest this morning for the winner of the women's 10K, and I guess that is an excellent segue into discussing women's 10K as the first event.
Caitlin, do you have this? You're going to take
Caitlin.
the recap?
All right, let me tell you what happened. So there was like 30 people out there, right? There's like we all got to run real fast because only 3 of us is going to Budapest, right?
Yeah.
So in conclusion, everybody ran real fast, but only 3 people made it, and yeah.
But there's a lot of confusion.
And they didn't run real fast.
They didn't run real fast.
That's the problem. That's the first
So
problem.
you trying to tell me I wasn't just watching the same meet as you, Kyle? No, I'm playing.
Clearly not.
Maybe you can interpret a 10K in many different ways.
They were laughing the first few laps of the women's 10K.
Yeah. So, Kyle, let's explain real quick the results of the race. Elise Cranny.
Wait, real quick? We cannot do this real quick.
No, it's not real quick.
Oh, we can do the results of the race.
Results of the race,
Yes.
but then just kind of what happens now that the race is done. So Elise Cranny wins 32-12, monster kick. This is her home track. I think is the thing that people forget because ever since the Bowerman Track Club moved to Eugene, they've been practicing here. So beats Alicia Monson. It's actually pretty impressive just because Alicia Monson's ranked 13th in the world and
She's been on a tear.
Absolute tear. We saw what she did at the 10. So Monson finishes second, 32-17. Now, Elise Cranny and Alicia Monson both have the World Championship standard. So up until this point, this is very easy to understand that the 2 of them will be going
Caitlin
back
is
to the
with
World
us.
Championships. You're still with us, Caitlin?
Yes.
All right. So third place was Natasha Rogers from Puma Elite, 32-22. And now in fourth place, Wayne Colati of Dark Sky Distance with Under Armour, 32-30. Carissa Schweizer finishes 5th, 32-32. She's got the World Championship standard. So now, Kyle, who's going to Budapest here? Or we won't know for a little while.
That is the $1 million question, is trying to figure out who's going. So basically, USATF will take the top 3 people who, based off of your finish at USA's, and are eligible to go to Worlds. Mm-hmm. So the question now is Natasha Rogers eligible to go? And we do not know that because as we pull up the Road to Budapest tracker.
It's an actual website, folks, and I would recommend bookmarking it between now and the end of the month.
Yeah, it's very valuable. But we see that she is currently the 3rd woman out. So as things stand right now, if the selection was today and everyone went, she would not be going. But we don't know if everyone is going.
Caitlin, you still with us?
No.
It's okay.
Jasmine?
I'm with you guys, but who's next in line?
So the next in line is, she has 2 athletes in front of her who have, because she doesn't have the standard, who have higher number of
Ranking
points than her. But what we're really focused on is the 28 athletes. The target field size is 27. Now, the confusing thing is that we have 20 athletes who have the world standard. So they're, in theory, all qualified.
Yeah.
And now, based off of your ranking and performances during the cross-country season, 8 different people qualify.
Let's get a close up of Caitlin's face right now.
Okay, and then Jasmine was just trying to be like, Caitlin, you need to be paying attention. You should know that
you
the
do.
3 people are not gonna go. But now you over here confused.
No, the reason why I said pay attention is because it's not just the top 3, and it hasn't been just the top 3 for
we've
years.
seen
For
But
all
this
the
is
events
new.
or just the 10K? Because
This is
now,
the first time that we're in this predicament with the 10K.
Yeah.
So first off, road times can count in
Yes.
10K.
What?
So if you run the 30-40 qualifying standard on the road in a legal race, everything, that counts.
Yeah.
But then 8 of the 27 slots are saved for cross-country performance, high-ranking athletes.
And
me
in order-
personally, I would just switch events because it's too much.
Well, I don't know this if you're switching to cross-country, but I was beating the drum in the lap count all fall saying everyone should run cross-country.
Yeah.
But everyone's doing indoor track and in their training
Well, it's short
camps.
track now.
Short
Short track.
and not just flying around chasing all these cross-country points that are very much up for grabs. Now, the situation is that the 8 athletes who have qualified for cross-country may not go, or other athletes.
Their countries may not send them. They maybe are injured. Like, there's a lot of things.
Oh,
So there
did
is a
these rules
path for
start this
Natasha.
year?
Yes.
This
Who
is,
made that rule?
I'm mind blown right now.
Take
my-
this one up with Seb.
My
Go.
buddy Seb.
Oh,
he just had this idea.
Oh, it's okay. Seb made the rule.
Yeah, he had
It's
this
okay.
idea.
No, Seb, we need to have a talk.
Yeah, we'll talk to him.
We'll talk to in Budapest.
About that and the refugee.
Yeah. Well, don't get us started on that.
But essentially, as you go down the list, initially I was like, oh, she's outside. So already there's 20 who got the standard, which is too many, because now we're over the 27 quota. So we're at 28. So we basically need at least 4 athletes to not run who are currently slated to run. Now, going down the list, there are athletes like Eilish McColgan. I don't know if she's running. She's been hurt. She pulled out of the London Marathon. Maybe she decides that she's healthy and ready to go. We know she can get fit quick. We know she's good at the 10K. But you go down the list and you see an athlete from Sweden. Sweden, historically, doesn't take a full team to Worlds. So are they going to take an athlete who qualified in cross-country? I've heard whispers of another athlete or 2 on this list who apparently also are not going. There are athletes on this list who do not have track times at all.
So, why can't we just make this easier on everybody and just take the top 3?
Well,
That's
'cause-
my suggestion always.
Yeah, honor this like a platinum level meet, but it's not that.
The idea being that if
But what does that have to do with it?
Well, the idea being if any, the U.S. has 3 women, because if you go down the list, then in 5th place, Carissa Schweizer, who is 5th, has the world standard.
She's just waiting now.
She just has it, or that was the world
No,
standard?
she has it from
from
previous.
Oh,
previous
because I was
races.
like, the people are faster than her, and I don't see WCS next to their name.
Yeah.
Good.
So-
Good point.
So we are now just waiting to see whether or not Natasha, because the USATF will take the top 3 athletes based off of the finish at USA's. So Elise, Alicia, and then it's like, hey, is Natasha eligible? And so I got confirmation from USATF on this. I spoke to the higher ups to get clarification to make sure if Natasha is eligible. What they do is they enter more than one name and they basically give like, this is our pecking order. So they say, yeah, Elise wants to go, Alicia wants to go. We would like Natasha to go if she's eligible. And then we would like Carissa to go if Natasha can't go. And then they look at all of the scratches and see who goes. And then if they say, hey, Natasha didn't get in, you guys still want Carissa to go? They say yes, and then Carissa would go. So we're basically just sitting here waiting to see who scratches, and we won't know until the window closes July 30th. I think we find out on August 1st who
I
who's
don't
on
like
the team.
this.
Hey,
This is
now
this is a
if
lot.
that wasn't enough for you, then are we ready to talk about the men's 10K?
Is it
Because-
not the same
Yeah,
BS?
please, just
It's a similar
Very
BS.
similar
puzzle my
BS.
mind some more, please.
All right, so in the men's 10K, what we saw was the most. All right, I think I saw someone tweet this out. So I'm sorry I can't credit who it was, but if you ever want to look smart to a non-track fan and you're watching a 10K
Rory
or 5K,
Linkletter, I think,
yeah,
said
it was
this,
Rory
yeah.
Linkletter. Good point. Point out the fact that Woody Kincaid is going to win with 600 meters to go, and today Woody was biding his time, sitting in 4th, 5th, just watching the guys in front of him. And in his final lap, 54 seconds, I think, is what he was clocked at for the final 400. wild. Comes away with the win. Salutes the camera. 28-23. Second place, Joe Klecker, 28-24. Now, up until this point, Caitlin, both Woody Kincaid and Joe Klecker have the World Championship standard. Those two guys are going to be going back to the World Championships. For Woody Kincaid, redemption opportunity after last year having the side stitch or cramping in at the Worlds. But now, here's where it gets interesting. Grant Fisher, the American record holder, last year's runner-up, has the World Championship standard, ends up finishing 4th because he gets out-kicked by his teammate, Sean McGorty, in 3rd place. McGorty does not have the standard.
He is currently 3rd out.
And he's the 3rd out in the rankings. So, Kyle, I guess,
it's essentially a very similar situation. Do enough people decide to not run that he gets bumped in? And then again, the other question is, do you chase? If you're Sean or Natasha said afterwards that she does not believe she's setting up to go after that time. She said, I was in that situation to try to get it earlier in the year.
Remind people what the standard is in the 10K.
The 10K standard for the women was 30-40. For the men, it's 27-10.
27-10. McGorty's personal best is 27-18. So if he believes he's in PR shape and can find someone to set up a race for him in the next 2.5 weeks, basically, then he can try and give it a shot. But it's a really awkward situation because it's his teammate.
But here, that's an interesting thing is because technically Grant is one of the people who is blocking Sean from getting in the quota. So it goes kind of back, I think, to that pecking order thing of USATF saying, well, we want Sean to go because he finished higher. So then they don't take Grant, I believe. And then if not, then they put him back in. If they're like, is that enough? No? All right, actually, take Grant.
Well, so this could also be a call from Jerry Schumacher.
Yeah,
right?
well, then the other thing is, you have the 5K, which Grant is coming back for.
Yeah.
So, overall, do you go, I guess the takeaway is, do you chase? Do you train? No, you stop training.
No.
You just sit at home and wait.
Just hit the brakes. I mean, it's a really awkward situation for Grant Fisher. He was in just pretty big shock. I was, right there when he was doing interviews, and he basically said, he was the one who was pressing on with 1,200 meters to go and thought that was going to be the move. And it's just like, that's not enough to take the kick out of Woody Kincaid's legs. And unless you're Joshua Cheptegei or, Selman Barrega, one of these, medalists from last year, no one on the U.S. side has been able to figure that out. So overall, pretty surprising finishes in the 10Ks.
I mean, not entirely.
No, I mean, like
Woody Kincaid is not, No,
I'm just saying, like, just the chaos that
the chaos
afterwards.
But you know what? If there was one event that was going to be chaotic in that sense, we knew it was going to be the 10K coming in.
Quick question: to avoid something like this, do we go back next year before the Olympic trials to what we did last year of hosting the 10K trials 2 months before the track championships?
I love the idea.
I thought that was better.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's move into some of the other bigger surprises of the day.
I just see Caitlin is so... I wonder if viewers at home are as... Do you feel like you got it?
No.
The cross-country thing, I want to backtrack really quick because you had made an interesting point, and this has always been my proposal, is countries should qualify as like a number of slots. So if you're saying that Carissa Schweizer is good enough to make the World Championships because she has a standard, and then Natasha Rogers beat her, does that not say Natasha Rogers is good enough? I believe that's like a basic associative property that we learned in 5th grade, 4th grade. When did we learn that?
What? I have
associative
no idea.
property.
I skipped that class.
I feel like I agree with that point, and especially because sometimes people hit those World Championship standards the previous season, since you have a year out.
That's got to go.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, that would have affected this women's 10K a lot.
Yeah.
We would have seen more chaos. Caitlin and Jasmine, take us through and you guys get to pick the next event. What was the event that shocked you the most today?
I don't think I had an event that shocked me, but I knew for a fact that Miss Sha'Carri was gonna do her thing today.
Okay, so women's 100 is
Women's 100 is
All
what
right.
we're gonna do.
She's had a busy few days.
I was shocked at someone, but I'm gonna let you go
Who
first.
you was shocked at?
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you
I
go
think
first.
they want the shock factor. I think you should talk.
It's shocking, but not shocking because she's a great athlete. But Brittany Brown finding her way through and coming in with a second place time, seeded time going into the semifinals was shocking to me. I mean, she came in with a PB.
tied her personal best, 10:96, second fastest time of the day.
Shorty been cold though.
I know she's been cold. That's why I said it's a shocker, but it's not a shocker. I know she's capable of it, but I also didn't expect that she would be the person there. Also, my shocker is not a shocker because I told you guys we have a potential to have 2 high school girls make
Yeah,
it
we do.
onto the World Championship team
At least like in a relay.
in a relay. And regardless, 2 high schoolers?
Shanti
When have we
Jackson,
seen that?
Mia Bray Peterson, both the 5th and 6th fastest times of the day. But we have to talk more about Sha'Carri. So
Yes.
her week starts off with rallying all of
Troops.
the athletes.
Weren't you one of the troops, Jasmine?
Jasmine was in
I
that
was.
game.
Get Jasmine in trouble.
So
Jasmine
here's
don't gotta talk,
So
but
She doesn't
Jasmine-
have
Jasmine.
to say anything.
So for context, and for people who maybe don't follow every single athlete on social media as closely as we do, but the top sprinters and a lot of distance runners for a while have been disgruntled. And this year, it just seems like the stars have been more vocal about it.
Disgruntled is
Yeah.
What does that mean, Chris?
a little upset about how things are going.
definitely
And-
not just gruntled.
Yeah.
Or disgruntled.
Disgruntled, not gruntled.
Yeah. So I missed English class. I said disgruntled.
Yeah, no, I'm
Oh, okay.
Not gruntled.
Anyway, it's like the top stars. I mean, how often are you opening Twitter and you just see, a 100-meter medalist complaining about, restrictions on what they can and can't do? And this year it's been just kind of really elevated. And Sha'Carri, with 2 million followers on Instagram, has one of the biggest platforms in the sport.
She her for real.
And she's now kind of harnessing. I'm really liking the Sha'Carri that we're seeing, especially this year, stepping in as a leader and handling the spotlight so much better. We've been talking about this on the podcast for months now, about just how she has even said she's gotten out of her own way. And so hosts an athletes-only meeting. Jasmine was in attendance. Today, in the mix zone, if you asked any of the athletes what was discussed in that meeting, they said it was athletes only. We
Yes.
can't talk about it.
Jasmine's not giving us anything.
I'm
Jasmine
not.
has
I
not
was gonna
said
say
anything.
I'm not gonna give you guys anything. Athletes only, and that's just what it is. It's something for the athletes. We want change, and we're gonna keep that between us for now.
Yeah, for now. And I think the way Noah Lyles put it said, if you start to see things changing, that's when you know. And I was like, well, you're going to take credit for when things get better? Okay. But anyway, Sha'Carri today got it done on the track, basically with her arms pumping the brakes at the very end and still tied the world lead. Jasmine, when you watched that race, what stood out to you?
First of all, her start. That girl was out of there. She was out of the blocks, and she looked so
Oh,
composed.
that's the name of our podcast.
Nice plug.
You see
Nice
the plug in there?
Yeah.
But she looked so composed, calm. She looked like she was just hitting that technique. You are just
I'm sorry. keep
composed.
talking.
Composed.
Yeah.
Anywho. But I would not be surprised to see Sha'Carri come out with a 10-5 tomorrow. With how calm.
What? Wait a minute.
What?
All right, clip that.
All right, well then I guess that just answered the question. Is Sha'Carri the runaway favorite? Is this even a...
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
It's not even nothing...
The ease of how she ran today, Sha'Carri is the favorite for me.
Is
Wow.
there anyone that then... Aaliyah Hobbs? Is there a world?
Leah is fully capable of making this team. I mean,
not that-
there's
it's not-
no doubt.
Yeah.
Aaliyah's making the team.
But it's just Sha'Carri she's on one right now.
Exactly.
She basically jogged and just beautifully executed 100.
Does she run better sometimes when
This is what I've noticed with Sha'Carri, though.
All right, tell us.
when it's not forced? When
When it's not forced, she runs her best. And I call, if she runs 10-5, it'll be in the semifinals, not in the finals. Because I think I said this last year too. Whenever she has to do 2 races in one day, she is never as sharp as she is in the first race.
Why is that? What is that? Like, is that a warm-up thing? Is that just an energy thing?
I think that is a energy thing for her, and also because she wants to run faster. I feel like she's more relaxed going into her semifinal, and when she has to get into a final, she's a little bit more pressed. She has these goals. She knows she wants to win, and she also is probably thinking about times. And when you're going in fully just focused on, forcing it, your times aren't always going to be as great. But when you're a little bit more relaxed and you're not pressing yourself too hard, the times are always speedy and they drop.
The thing that got me too was, like, I know that it ended up giving a plus 0.1. Sitting in the stands, I thought that it was going to pop up as a headwind.
Yeah.
This was not like some, Miramar plus 5 situation. This was, we're not in, where are we? Bermuda? Where'd we go?
Bermuda.
Where was the USATF games?
Plus 6 wind or whatever it was. Yeah.
So I do think in a world in which she gets that slight tailwind, I see a 10-5.
The defending champ coming into this, Melissa Jefferson.
Yes.
People are sleeping on her, I think, Caitlin. Would you get a chance to talk to her today?
I didn't get a chance to talk to her today, but you did say that in her interview after the race that like her coach would just like run free or like something like that, and
I think she's in a spot. She's in a good spot.
I think she's in a good spot. Do I think she gonna get top 3? No. Do I think she'll be in a relay pool? Yeah, because I feel like she solidified herself as first leg last year. Like she just looked too good to not have that spot again. So I still should be in the relay pool, but it's like what me and Jasmine talk about on our podcast all the time. If we're not picking you to like win or to like be like a certain
doesn't mean
place,
you're gonna have a bad day.
Exactly. It doesn't mean you're gonna have a bad day, and it doesn't mean that you're slow. It just means that
You have to soften
on that
the blow.
particular day, somebody else is gonna win. And it's just like, I don't know, but I think she's gonna do really well. I think she is gonna finally dip under 11 tomorrow, but the issue is that even with dipping under 11, I mean, if Sha'Carri does what Jasmine was saying, 10-5, that spot's already gone. I'd say Aaliyah's easily going
So everyone's
10-7
fighting for
or
one
10-8.
spot, you think?
Yeah.
I mean, if we look at the names on this thing, Sha'Carri Richardson, Brittany Brown, Tamara Clark, Shanti Jackson, TT Terry. I mean, the most unfortunate thing is being born in the United States and
Literally.
being this talented. Like,
Tell me about
Definitely. I disagree, Chris. I think being born in the United States is a great thing.
of course. Yeah. You just turn into a Baldy.
I'd rather miss a
Fly away.
world championship team
Huh?
than be born anywhere else.
Okay.
You are one
take.
proud man.
What's in your Olipop, boy?
I get, I feel like 4th of July you get a little patriotic, but then you come here, U.S. Championships, an opportunity to represent your country.
Yeah.
Turn
All right.
patriotism all the way up.
Let's move over to the men's 100. A
Oh.
couple shockers here.
All right. Well, the big question, can I just say? No Lyles.
Yeah.
What
so-
did we-
I talked to him today. That
After
was
today, is just
crazy.
making the team going to be a win?
just making the team, Noah Lyles, is that a win? Yes or no?
No, he's not that kind of person. I don't even know why you asked that question. Like, for him, like, he only wants the best. So, like, anything that comes close to the best is not enough. Like, it has to be the best. And he is very adamant about not just making the team, but winning. Like, I think that he showed he was very serious about that. And I got on him about this today. I said, you was talking all that mess in the mix zone last year, saying, oh, I don't understand why people come to USA's and don't defend their title. That's chicken. You know how you be getting.
pulled
We have to pull the trick.
I'm like sitting here like, okay, congratulations. But then I was like, but nah, when I was giving you the heat about it, I understand. You want to focus on winning the 1 and the 2. And if you need to put more effort into your side chick who ain't really treating you right, then do what you gotta do. And I guess that's what he doing. I mean, he qualified for the second round, so I think that's gonna be great. But I think that also, even with this, since he's such like an overachiever, which is like, not a bad thing. I don't even think just making the team is going to be enough for him. I think he wants to like win the U.S. title.
Big revelation in the mix zone after the race that since the NYC Grand Prix, Noah Lyles has not been training. Zero training. Because
Wait, what you talking about?
Same.
he caught COVID right after New York City.
And I was just up in his face.
And same thing happened last year. So really odd circumstances, but
Is that why my throat is right now?
Hold on.
It's not funny. It's not funny.
So he didn't get medically cleared to compete until Sunday, and then he traveled here on Monday. So Noah Lyles has not done anything. He said zero since the NYC Grand Prix.
All right, then today definitely woke up the system a little bit.
Also,
got the
reminder,
germs out.
Noah Lyles also has asthma. Like, there's just so many things. This is Noah Lyles' flu game.
Since when did he have asthma?
He's had asthma for a while. This was a thing that came up during COVID. But
I'm like scared to ask this question.
what?
How much is that? I know the impact that it has on distance running in the 100, same.
Very much the same
your cardio.
thing. Yes, especially with asthma. As an athlete, I'm just dropping my phone over here. Sorry, y'all. Can't keep it on my lap. But as an athlete with asthma, I also have asthma.
You got asthma?
Yeah, girl.
You have asthma?
I might now.
Do you have asthma? Because
I have asthma, and dealing with COVID, it really does have an effect on your body and that nervous system. Coming back after I had COVID, it was a struggle to get through the workouts. Like, you're breathing hard, your body just feels sluggish. And so the fact that he was even able to run a 10:05 today is remarkable. And that means his body is just waking up. Like you said, his nervous system is just starting to come back.
You're making a face. How do you think of this 10:05 now that you realize, this man is doing it off of zero training for a week and a half, and he had COVID?
that boy's scary. I'm not gonna hold you. When I was talking to him, he was saying like, what did he say? He said something about like he knows that like the 9.7 is there. The issue with him is putting it together. And he says that's literally all he's just like literally the first 30 meters. Like that's it. And so I was asking him, I was like, well, you got several other people that want the same thing you want, and you got to fix that first 30 meters. So like, what you got to say to them? He was like, well, have the other ones ran 19.5? No. And I'm like, okay, bet. I mean,
we're recording this impression that you're doing of Noah, and we know Noah watches.
Noah does watch.
She did the same thing on Out of the Blocks when we had this conversation about Noah.
You know that's my dog. You gave her.
She did the same thing.
Can I give a shout out to my dog?
Yes. Yes, 100%. I wanted to say, can we say on 3 like who we think his dog is?
Okay.
We know. I've been riding for
2,
weeks.
3.
Christian.
Cravant.
Charleston.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. You learn the pronunciation. Now put some respect on.
Shout
this
out to
kid's name. Who is
Tracksmith
it?
for that
Cravant
I
one.
was
Charleston.
like, oh,
NC
wasn't we doing that all that? Shout out.
NC State, Cravant Charleston never made an NCAA final or a U.S. final.
So you telling me I got hope in being a loser in the NCAA right now?
Yes.
I never
Don't say
made
that,
an NCAA final either. Well, long jump. But in the 100, I went to NCAAs 1 year. And I did not make the final.
Chris never
the
made
image
it.
I have of Jasmine in my head is that she's like a 10-time
NCAAs.
All-American.
I never made NCAAs.
I am an All-American.
Yeah.
Don't get me
10
wrong.
times.
Life is okay.
Can we focus on
Sorry.
Cravant
Yeah.
Charleston?
Sorry.
No, everything's about me, Kyle.
Because Cravant, hearing about Noah and his last, few weeks, but 10:01 took the heat. He is running great. He was second at the LA Grand Prix to Hakeem Blake. He just came back from Finland. He won all of his races there. I think he's got down to 990 so far this season. Explosive out of the blocks. And it's just been consistent. And
you said out of the block.
Every time someone says out of the block, she's drinking Olipop.
But he looks so consistent and strong. And I just think the doors are kind of open right now. I mean, so Fred not running the 100. Marvin, unfortunately,
out.
Did not make it through, clearly dealing with something. And then, Trey had been dealing with an Achilles issue earlier. He makes it through the round afterwards. Seemed to take his shoe off and was holding his ankle.
He limped
talking
through.
to him?
He limped
I
through the
did.
finish
Okay.
line.
Yeah, is he all right?
He said, I mean, he was talking like he gonna be fine for tomorrow, but he was like, "Yeah, I've been injured like since March. Like I feel it, but you know, you just gotta trust your training and trust your confidence, and you know, be Mr. Big Man, which is great." But I'm like scared because, like, you know, like last year it was like our guys, and I think our guys are gonna get mixed up.
I mean, Fred feels probably the best right now.
Well, Christian looked great.
I mean,
I'm like,
Christian's great, but
Here's-
like
here's
everyone else
Here's
has
the
an
question for this
opportunity.
event. How good did Christian Coleman look?
He looked dandy.
Yeah.
Dandy.
Well, so I think that the biggest thing about Christian is that he runs his best when he doesn't put enough pressure on him. He doesn't put
He
any
said
pressure
that about
on himself.
himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
He says that, like, because I think he was talking about that a lot last year when he was like making his
forcing
way
it.
back. He was like, that was the biggest problem with him in terms of like putting so much pressure on himself to be good, like making his way back and like be the person that like everybody knew him to be before he like wasn't running for like a gazillion months. But like you said, he runs the best when he's not like, oh shit, like I gotta run real fast.
Yeah. I was impressed today by Christian Coleman.
I'm just going to say, I'm jumping in here. I'm sorry. Hello, everyone. I thought Christian ran a race that's a winning race.
That's not
like
a
today.
lollipop. That's alcohol.
Get rid of that.
No, I thought Christian Coleman looked fantastic today. He looked super confident. He looked healthy, and similarly to when he beat Noah earlier this year. He's beaten Noah twice this year. 60 and the 100.
Say that too loud.
I know. I thought he ran a similar race to that. So I think that he's the favorite now, and I don't think that you would have said that 6 months ago.
I don't think you would have said that yesterday.
Yeah.
I
Not
think
even.
we
I
could've
don't
said
know
it
about
6 months
yesterday.
ago.
Maybe in the past, like 2 months ago.
Or we just.
I feel like we could
A
have said
month
it a couple
ago.
months ago.
Hey, just one last note here on the men's 100 is this year, 400-meter world champion Michael Norman has a bye into his event, and he decided he's going to go after the 100-meter title and at USA's. And obviously, what we've seen kind of at some of his races leading up to this, Doha, it has been a rocky season. So
I heard from somewhere that he switched coaches.
yes. So in the mixed zone, I mean, kudos to Mike Norman for stopping after running 10.3. Like, it's a bad performance. You don't want to face the media, but he took the time to actually talk to us and explain what exactly has been up. So first off, he's been dealing with some tendonitis ever since the Diamond League opener. Then on top of that, switch coaches mid-season. Like, this is he switched from Quincy Hall to now he's working with John Smith. So
Talu's coach, right?
Talu's coach, exactly. So he is. I mean, you don't want to do that. Jasmine, I guess like you can speak to this as just sort of like you don't change things up like that so close to a championship.
I'm like
Maybe he was
the
desperate.
thought process of that. But I mean, you don't do that.
Yeah.
That's
He wasn't
not
having a great
heard of.
season.
No, and so now
He wasn't.
He's obviously now thinking about whether or not he's going to run this 200, and then shift training back to the 400-meter focus because he's got a spot at Worlds. There's still a way to salvage the season.
He might as well just go back. I mean, me personally, I would just go back to the 4 because I told Jasmine this. The men's 200 on lock. I'm sorry. I don't care who else you is. If you not the 3 people that me and Jasmine named on our podcast, so if you want to know, go listen to it. Then
Period.
you're not going to be, like, you're not making
He
that
hasn't ran
team.
19 seconds since last year. So he hasn't been strong in the 200. So if I was him, I would be thinking about, let me just focus on defending my world title.
Because it's open. Like, I mean, obviously, like, he's not racing the 400 here, but, like, I just feel like the men's 400 in the world is, like, you could just win.
Let's switch gears here now and talk about that men's 400. This is, I mean, I feel like Vernon Norwood does not get enough credit for how good of a runner he is. He's obviously got the relay medals, but our boy Vernon
I think this
has
is
a
his year.
chance. This is his year.
I think,
Yes.
you know what?
And he was the first to say, I have to thank Michael for not running the event here, and also Fred Curley for giving me 2 extra years on my career by not running the 400 anymore. But I guess the question for the 400 is this Vernon Norwood's title to lose?
The last time Vernon made an individual team, I believe, was 2015.
Dang.
What?
Yeah, we were on that team together.
How old were you in 2015?
I was 15.
Dang.
Okay.
That's awkward.
You know what? Because I love my buddy Vern, Mr. Ballhead. You know what he gonna do?
Okay, tell us.
I know Michael Norman had that gold medal last year, but baby, this year, going straight to Vern.
What, you're saying gold?
Yeah, at
World?
Budapest.
Okay.
At Budapest.
Did you forget about Wade Van Niekerk?
Wow.
Yeah, but he's gonna run faster.
Whoa.
All right, so
Let's
check
I'm
what's
in.
in your lollipop. Yeah.
Wait, you don't got faith in Verner? You call him slow?
I mean, no, I'm not saying that.
Wade is back.
It's
I
just,
think Wade
yeah,
Van Niekerk
he's
is
I know
back.
Wade is back, but Wade's getting second because Verner's gonna get first.
All right. We told Caitlin before this, you bring your takes. This one's a little hot.
This is a very hot take.
Let's get through the U.S. championships first, because I think that he does have a great chance to win a U.S. title, which is
Yes.
something that he hasn't done outdoors in the 400 before. Obviously, always in it, always placing well. He ran 45.06, but looked great. Chris Bailey ended up taking that heat. What about Ryan Willie?
Mr. Willard.
Second at NCAA's to his own teammate, but won the SECs.
He's electric on the relays.
He's so calm and confident in talking with him.
It's because he got everybody behind him supporting him. Because last year, actually this fall, when me and Jasmine was talking to Champ on our podcast, we was like, so who we got to watch out for next? And he said, all I'm going to let you know is that this year is Ryan's year. And this entire year he has been dominant. So whoever else he got in his ear telling him that he's that man, I guess he believing it.
You and I were next to Talitha Diggs while that race was going on, and we were all watching it together, and she was like, that it was a very weird race for him to run. Like, Coach Holloway's going to have a thing or two to say. Because, yeah, I mean, like, I guess the thing that he's got going for him now going into the semis is that he ran the 9th fastest time of the day, so he's going to fly under the radar a bit. But I would not discount him as a potential, winner for this event.
How fast do you have to run to make a 4-inch team right now?
Probably a
Not as
44
fast
low.
as you
Not,
previously had.
Are all these guys just
I don't
waiting?
think you need to run a 43. I don't
You just
know.
got to run 45, to be honest.
To
What?
make the team? Ain't no way in hell you running 45 to make the team.
Jasmine,
Nah.
I
11
truly feel like
everyone ran 45.
What's in your
today.
lollipop?
that's what I mean. I feel like there's going to be one person to touch a 44.
Wow, what happened this year?
I'm
The weather
crazy for saying
forecast?
Vernon's gonna win
we-
Worlds, but she's saying only one person's gonna run
You two
44.
are supposed to be our sprint experts.
Okay. Okay. I
Is
said
there
what I
such
said.
thing as a tactical 400? Am
Yeah.
I missing? Like, what?
I just want to know the logic, Jasmine.
No, but in
Yeah.
watching not only the woman but also the men, I feel like we're kind of struggling in our 400 department, not in a terrible way, but we haven't been as dominant in our 400 as we have been.
45 is really. I don't think it's Have you ever
45
had to run
low?
45? To
Willie
like,
ran
I think
44
44.
at NCAA's.
yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna make it be that. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna run a 43 or run like a 44.0. Like, I don't think that's gonna happen. But you have to run faster than 45 to
Yeah,
make the
so
team.
we've got the YouTube chat
I
going
said what I
right
said.
now. We want to hear some of your guys' takes. And, like, Joseph Jonathan chimed in and said, I'm with Jasmine. The 400 men have barely run 44 this year, and the collegians are tired. So that...
Y'all say the collegians are tired every year, but what they went out there and did last year in the same place,
You
they
can't
did
keep
what they
taking
gotta
that
do.
for every year.
All
You
right.
can't do it every year.
Well, you know who's really good at the 400?
Oh,
Caitlin Hutchison.
period.
Yeah.
Come on, girl.
For our next segment. Yeah, the women. The women.
Yeah, I mean, this is the year that
They're-
we go from last year, no one making the final of the World Championships, to, I mean, no, I'm not going to say we're going to sweep the medals in the 400. But
We'll come out with medal, at least one medal.
I think
for sure.
You gotta
Two.
worry
maybe
about
I
two.
think two. I think we'll come out with two medals.
Yeah.
I think we're coming out with one.
At least one.
At
All
least
right.
one.
So, women's 400, Sydney McLaughlin Levrone, 49.79, making it look super
She's figuring
easy.
it out.
So easy.
Uh-oh, that's
Formula
scary for
Kersey.
everybody else.
Is on to something here.
Yeah.
The plan has been executed. I think like very similarly to what we've kind of seen at last year's U.S. Championships is that Sydney's going to do just what it takes to make the team, and we're really going to see the fireworks.
So
in
break
Budapest.
the world record.
I mean,
Because that's what she did last year.
They're experimenting right now with just like going out super hard. It was 22 in Paris, 24 in New York. Today, 24. I mean, like she's getting it down. So Sydney's a lock on this team, right? We can all agree on
I
that?
think we can agree on that. Sydney's finding her rhythm. Sydney is just doing Sydney things.
Okay, now the second fastest person of the day, Britton Wilson, 50:08. Now, interestingly, coming into this meet, obviously didn't have the day that she wanted at the NCAA Championships, not winning either one of the 400 or the 400 hurdles titles. And then turns pro. Instagram, if you follow things closely, posted a story where she's wearing a boot on her foot, joining the boot gang over here.
Oh, don't put that negative spirit back on us.
Okay.
Please don't.
Comes out here and runs 50:08. The boot was more of a precaution.
But she was in the boot, like she was in 2 boots during fall training. So like I
She's
have
wearing
no.
2 boots at once.
I'm pretty sure, unless what I was told was
So
a
are we when we go to the
lie.
Eugene Rodeo. In a
How was
couple
she
days.
walking?
It's just like I don't know, like maybe the boots just for like accessories, because there's like no way that like you're
you
in a
run
boot
50,
and like
and then you run 50.
and you run 50 and then you do what you did the entire season. Not like, you know, crap in order at all. It's just so interesting. Like she's a superstar.
You spoke to her.
She's having shin issues, which she spoke about, I believe, at NCAA.
Yes.
Dealing with that, she's been spending time in the pool, which she does not like.
Nobody does.
But obviously that makes then the decision to not do the hurdles quite easy, to focus on the 400. At this point, Britain's just fit. And you can squeeze out a 50.0 apparently, even if you've been spending some time in the pool. And it looked like, based off of how well she closed, that there is more in the tank there. I think
100%.
if I'm Britain, it's like, get through these rounds. If that means wearing a boot and having to answer the questions about why you're wearing a boot, doesn't matter. Make the team, rest up, get that shin healthy. Because at Worlds, there is medal potential.
Yep.
Britain. So I was able to have a conversation with somebody who's been around Britain with the Arkansas group, Sydney Conley.
She's close to.
So, you know, she's close to her. And I asked her in the stands, I said, what was the decision between running the 4 and the 4 hurdles? And obviously it's medal contingent when going to World Championships and actually making the team. And then I brought up the fact of how slow she got out today, but watching her race, because I'm so used to watching her go balls to the wall in all of her races. And so we discussed how coming here, she decided that she wasn't going to go balls to the wall. And she's going to go fast when we get to this final, because all season she's been doubling up. She's been having to run 6. She ran, 4 races at NCAAs, because she did the hurdles and the 4. And now she just has to worry about running 1 400 a day.
Easy.
Easy work.
Anyone
work.
can do that.
Do you all 3 women who make this team tomorrow, or no, it's not tomorrow, who make it onto the team, what's it, all sub 50, all 49? What is the record for most number of women under 50 in a single race?
I think
Our
so.
intern Owen to check that one out.
But
I
who is
think
the
so.
third? That's the
Lena.
big
Who's
question.
the third?
Lena looked great.
If
She did
you
look
watched,
good.
she looked fantastic running. I haven't seen her run that well and that relaxed in a long time coming in. She ran a beautiful race, and so I think that she will go sub 50, and I think that she's the third person.
You go, Lena.
Talitha,
I'm with you.
why we forget about my girl? Like, that's my dog, okay?
I'm with you.
Because she's been working on like so much speed work this year, and like I had a conversation with her like
went
after
10-9.
Exactly. I had a conversation with her after NCAAs, and she was like, no, not really happy about how everything went, but she said her and her coach have had long term in mind the entire season. So like, yeah, NCAAs didn't go exactly how she wanted it to, but it's about getting back on this team and going to go get a medal in that open 400.
She had a bit of a flex when I talked to her, and I was like, oh, you know, obviously you didn't get the results you wanted at NCAAs. And she was like, yeah, but that's because, like, I've been training for the meets that matter. And I was like, what?
Meets
that
matter?
matter?
My fault.
Yeah.
My fault.
So,
Okay.
I mean, I dig the confidence. She's got the championship experience. I'm going to Lisa Diggs. Who's your third?
Diggs.
Diggs.
Yeah. Mainly because she just like hung out for a while after.
With
So
us.
I'm the oddball out.
Yeah.
That's not
Okay.
a bad choice though. Like
I
you
know
didn't
it's
pick
not,
a,
girl.
didn't
You
pick
ain't gotta defend me. I know
Okay,
what I
never
picked.
mind, I take it
I
back.
stand 10 toes
I'm
down.
not saying nothing to Jasmine no more.
All right, real quick, we're gonna hippity hop to another event.
That
Women's
was so
triple
lame.
jump.
Don't ever say that again, Chris.
Jasmine, give us the triple jump report. What did we see in this event?
I get so disappointed when people just don't, like, y'all better brag about Tori. Okay,
Tori She said
she
Tori
had a vision.
Franklin. We have to start bragging about Tori Franklin.
Oh.
This girl, literally last year, was contemplating decisions on whether she wanted to be done with the sport. And this was during indoors. She comes out to World Championships after making a coaching change halfway through the season, kind of like Michael Norman. So this
Hey, so
might be
it works.
fruitful.
It
She went to
works.
Germany. She went to a whole nother country. Greece. She went to Greece.
Yeah.
Started with a G though.
Started with a G. I was close. She went to Greece, came back, and she's the first American to ever win a triple jump medal for the woman. Why didn't we announce that today when she was up there? I was kind of upset.
Oh, really?
And
snatched the
that we
mic.
didn't announce this. But she came out and she looked really good. And I was talking to my friend Sydney in the stands, and she was asking me what my predictions were.
McLaughlin.
Sydney
Your besties
Conley,
with Sid?
my friend Sydney Conley, and she was asking my predictions on how the TJ would look, and I said as long as Tori does not reach her foot out and she puts it under her, she's the one to beat. She's winning this, taking it all. Of
Wait,
course.
Can you just break down that? I think that's interesting.
Okay, so when you're coming to the board, y'all could see me.
Yeah, but also we have listeners only.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so when coming to the board, you want your foot to be more under you, so more vertical. You don't want to be reaching out. So say you're pushing the gas on the brake. You don't want to look like you're doing that when you're coming into your jump. That positioning is all the power. So like I said, you're putting your foot out, you're pressing the brake, and that's going to stop all your momentum from going horizontal and going forward. And so when Tori has this habit that she thankfully kind of fixed when she was out in Chula Vista with us, to put her foot under her. And that was just a cue that my coach kind of gave her. And it worked beautiful for her today. She was able to get that foot under her.
Is that just a matter of having your steps measured out correctly and hitting?
It's a matter
Slide.
of really trusting your mark where you're starting. So your runway. A lot of people, they don't trust their runway. They're looking for the board instead of just trusting, hey, I know that I'm a certain distance from this board. I should be on. A lot of people kind of get really excited when you're in competition, me included. And I start reaching for the board. People just start reaching for it because they want to hit it and they want to hear the sound. We're so used to trying to hear the sound of the board as opposed to just trust the process and go. If you're going right and you're hitting all these positions correct, you're going to hit the board. You're going to jump far.
Wow. Coach Jasmine in the house.
That's why we paid Jasmine the big bucks.
That was explained so well.
But I was curious, did you guys talk to Jasmine? Because I was wondering
She
if,
did.
because, you know, she's now signed and Florida isn't Puma. So now she's got to be in Puma spikes and you're changing spikes towards the end of the season. So I was wondering if that had an effect.
Well, I think just universally, a lot of the shoe companies are like, hey, do what's going to be best for you to make this team. Like if you're switching brands and like, you know, after this weekend, now you can make that transition to our product. So it wouldn't shock me if a lot of athletes who just signed with a brand are running in competitor product. But no, it's going to be something interesting. Jasmine makes the team and Katura was second. So that's the squad. Pretty expected, I guess.
Very
coming into
expected.
the weekend. So that is the hippity hop.
Let's
Triple jump report.
let's shift to the 800 first round. The 8 is always just they narrow this thing down so quickly.
Yeah, it's cutthroat.
You know, first round not the worst. Now you start looking at who has to make it from the semis to the final. It's crazy. But the thing I want to ask, and let's focus on the men first.
Okay.
Was there anyone that you saw today that is kind of changing your picks? Like, did you see something out there that shifted things around, odds makers?
Yeah. Clayton Murphy looked good. I think he's still potentially the favorite. Will Sumner is getting questions about whether he's, too tired or if he's even.
Well, he didn't run that well in New York.
Right. Or if he's in the same shape as NCAAs, and it's like, yeah, it's only been a couple weeks. Like, not all that much.
Well, he
change.
not dominated, but he controlled the race, which is what he did at NCAAs, and is how I like him to run.
Yeah.
It's not what happened in New York, and we kind of see that when he's at the front of the race and says, let me dictate,
This one is, I just don't know what to make of. Or are you, what are you hinting at here?
I think that Will's got to continue to control races.
Okay.
And the situation in which Will is up front and saying, hey, look, I'm going to pull another negative split on everyone and challenge to see who can do that, then I like his odds better than, hey, let's sit back, run in the pack. He just doesn't seem as comfortable in the pack. And something I've noticed all year, I think it's a matter of the way he came up in high school. Everything was just a time trial.
Yeah.
And he's comfortable in the front. So Will Sumner in the front, I like his odds. So in terms of did I see something that changed? Yeah, I did. I think Will, if you were at all nervous after New York, you got to feel good about Will now.
Okay, so Will Sumner, Bryce Hoppel, Isaiah Harris, Clayton Murphy, which one of the guys doesn't make the team?
Say it again.
Will Sumner, Bryce
Hoppel,
Hoppel, Isaiah Harris, Clayton Murphy.
Oh, Isaiah Harris. What about Isaiah Jewett?
He looked really good. And Isaiah Jewett was also.
Isaiah Jewett. Dana's yelling in. Isaiah Jewett's her pick. I talked to Isaiah after. He's saying he's feeling very quick this year. There's a little bit different, when you're going from the college scene to the pro, you're not racing as much. He would have been running 400s, 4x4s. They have dual meets at USC.
He still got a 400 PR this year.
Yeah, he did. So, who's my pick? My pick would be, I don't feel super confident about it, but my pick on paper, I think, is Sumner, Hoppel, Murphy.
That's who I think I lean as well. Sumner, Hoppel, Murphy. Oh, not in that order. I'm going Murphy, Hoppel, Sumner.
All right, let's also just welcome Dana in.
Hi.
Jasmine, you got to rest up.
Yes.
You have competition coming up.
What's up?
Yes.
Hi, Jasmine.
Goodbye.
Get some rest, Jazz.
Warm for me.
Dana, what did you make of the 800s?
I last year not seeing Clayton Murphy on the team was obviously a surprise. So seeing him come out there with a ton of confidence was great. But I did want to shout out Isaiah Jewett specifically because it looked really easy. And there's a thing that 800-meter people do where they try to do the jog into the tunnel. And he did the jog into the tunnel. And I was like, man, he's just ready for tomorrow, checking the box, moving on, and looked super confident and comfortable in that heat. So.
What did he tell you? He's running more distance, and you're like, you look a little bit more buff.
Well, I said that heavy. I mean, he looked like the callback to last year, but he looks like he's been in the gym.
He's been in the gym, man.
Yeah, and he's quick. He's strong. He said he's doing threshold. So, I think that he's coming on at the right time. And I always think with the 800, that's such a big aspect of timing. When are you hitting your peak? The 800 a little bit more precision than say the 1500 or the 5K, in which you can kind of muscle it out on strength.
Yeah.
Besides that, I
chalk. I think it was just not too no big surprise.
Yeah. Brandon Miller did squeak in.
Yeah.
On a little cue.
So he
looked a little uncomfortable out there leading his heat. Probably not a place that he's used to.
He didn't stop through the mix zone because he was,
I
think, a little worried about it. He had to go watch the next couple races.
It's interesting when you're on the hot seat. You can't do an interview yet. Yeah. You don't even know if you're happy or not.
Yep. All right, women's side. Nia Akins runs the fastest time of the day, 1:59.09. Raven Rogers, 2 flat, second fastest time of the day. And then we got a big shout out. Charlene Lipsy, third fastest time of the day, 2 flat. We put out the video earlier today. She said she's still got that dog in her. And do that again. All right, there we go.
Waking up the neighbors.
What did you think?
I mean, first off, 7 women ran 2 flat or faster.
I mean, this one was just sort of what was my decimal place? Did I make it through?
Yeah, talk about being born in the USA, Chris.
Yeah.
Imagine being a woman running the 800 in the U.S. right now. I mean, we've got our 16th woman today ran 2:02:11.
Yeah.
It was just, it's deep as can be. In terms of, do my picks change at all from the 800?
So, for context, I think Mo has the bye, so we've got 4 women at the World Championships and 3. The big 3 that we've kind of, pegged as the big 3 over the last couple of years is Mo, Raven Rogers, and Ajay Wilson. I feel good that the big 3 will make it, so I think there's still like a competition for one spot.
Yeah, I mean, Ajay, we saw bounce back after New York. Tough day there, back looking at regular old Ajay. But I really do think Nia has turned that corner a little bit, and I think this might be a big weekend for her to
She didn't stop she was all biz.
Yeah.
Walking through the mix zone.
And so I definitely see a world in which Nia can upset some people on this. But you go down, I think if
The
you...
collegians were really good today.
Michaela Rose.
Michaela has ran 159 at least 25 times this season.
Regine Willis is back looking strong.
Julia Whitaker.
Julia Whitaker's back looking strong.
I know we said we weren't going to try and shout out everyone, but even
Everyone look at the 8. If you run in the semi, let alone the final, 10 times, I feel like you get completely different.
It's like a random number generator. Who's it going to be this time? I really enjoyed hearing from Sage Herta-Klecker, too. I think On has some good momentum with Alicia and Joe just making the 10K teams. There's something when your camp is running well, there's a huge wave of confidence that comes through, and I think she's really eager to make a team.
And then, that final spot, it's going to be... We should all on the show after the semis. We'll just put a hat, a nice Under Armour hat, and we'll each put names of the finalists, and we'll all pick one as to
and that's who we have to cheer for.
And that's who you have to cheer for.
Well, I thought you were going to go a different direction, which is if you put all 8 names in a hat and pick them out.
How accurate can it be?
Is that going to be more or less accurate than us actively choosing?
Someone do the math.
Yeah, we'll have to figure it out. We'll wait and see. We've got a crazy semi up ahead.
I didn't get an opportunity to talk to her, but I did just want to give the shout out. I know we said we were going to do all shout outs, but Rachel Gehrig from Penn State, she's a triple jumper who just decided to turn into an 800.
She made it through, right?
Made it through the next round. I just love
There
that
you go.
story. I think
Nice and random.
It really warms your heart.
it warms my heart. It just says
Anything is possible.
anything you can always change
You just believe.
about what event you want to do.
All right, really quick. No big surprises in the women's steeple. Emma Coburn makes it through. The only shocker that made it somewhat interesting was Courtney Frerichs falling, clawing her way back, but advancing with a little cue. She
gave a great interview, Courtney Frerichs, talking about how
say?
she came back she had an ankle surgery this fall. So really is coming into this season this is her first steeple opener.
Yeah.
So untested. And she said when the fall happened, she's like, I've fallen in these races before and I know how hard it hurts. So she's like, I just knew what place I had to get into and get the job done, but didn't have a ton of confidence of her steepling because it was the first one, but had the experience and veteran mentality of, hey, I just need to get this job done. But her eyes are completely set and the whole plan is for 2024. So it's really tough to execute today when your training is set up for this race next year.
I don't think she definitely doesn't want to miss this team. I mean, we're so used to Emma Coburn and Courtney Frerichs being staples on this for half a decade now. That third spot.
Can I give that hot take then? Yeah, I don't think it's hot. I just think no one's saying it out loud. Steeplechase prelims boring. Always boring.
What do you think we should do? Straight final?
I don't know. Why, but can we all agree the steeplechase prelims never...
There's
do it
never...
for me.
Really.
Caitlin, I know you agree.
I think steeplechase.
I think you change. Do you change the standard? No. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It's just that
you have to have 2 heats.
and it's the men's side too. It's not just the women. It's just there's so many slots.
Yeah.
How about this? Every single lap you
Everyone
add a
always makes it.
hurdle or you take one away and it gets faster and faster.
If you do the elimination style. If you're last, you're gone. You get pulled off in the 9
You
laps.
got to do something. It just seems. I think we got to narrow it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
14 is too many. It just seems like every single.
I still think
everyone gets
this
it.
event is interesting too on the women's side where there is a really big gap still between the best people in the next.
Yeah.
So it's not that interesting because you know who's the sub 930 girls and who's not, and that's just what happens every single time. I think the most interesting thing, other than Courtney first falling, was Colleen Quigley's scratch, which
Due to a hip injury or something like that happened on the warm up.
yeah,
That was
struggling
what was
from a hip
reported?
injury. Asked her training partner Nikki Hiltz about it. Said just had flared up in the warm up. Was super upset. So it's kind of a bummer to see her not return to the track after bringing us along the journey. But
All right, so then if we're staying on just yawning through these steeplechase prelims, the men's
Everyone's thinking it.
yeah, men's
men.
3001. No surprises here. I'm looking
You
at
know what? I am pumped to see Craig Nowak
Craig Nowak made it.
take
the pace pirate.
Yeah, take the win
Take the win
over
for
Bernard
PCO.
Keeter, who made the team. But the feel good story from this one is our boy Andy Bayer. Making it through. Retired after 2019 and during COVID. Got reduced on his contract and just was just like, I'm done with this sport. Was playing pickup soccer, and one of his teammates was like, you should honestly go back to running. Like, you seem to be pretty
You're not
good
good
at
at soccer.
You're not good at soccer. He didn't actually say that, but like, I think we have to bring that up with him. It's like, Andy, do you think that it was just that you weren't
Yeah.
that good at soccer?
I liked what he said afterwards. But you have the quote. You were
Yeah,
actually
so
talking
he
to.
said, I said to him, it's got to feel weird that the last time that you were at this meet was 2019, and Evan Jaeger was running at that meet. He's injured. He's not here this year. Hillary Bohr is also, at this meet, crushing it, but broke his foot. So he's not here. And you're now older, and there's all these fresh faces. It's got to just be weird. He says, yeah, everyone that I know in the sport is either a coach or an agent or training to be a coach or training to be an agent, or they work for CITIUS MAG. And so there you have it.
It's a career path.
There's a life after professional running, and sometimes it gets you in this seat. All right, so Mason Furlick, he believes this is his best chance to potentially win a U.S. title in this event. Craig Nowak, Bernard Keeter, I think, doesn't get enough credit. Anthony Rotich also in the mix. So, I'm looking at the people who got eliminated. Sorry, but yeah,
Sorry.
That's to every event.
yeah,
That's
sorry.
not just a single date. If you got eliminated from the 100,
Sorry.
Yeah, I think we need a sorry button. That we hit. Okay, so we're done with the steeple prelims.
Come on, move on. I'm falling asleep on
All
the
right. Final
15s.
final event to talk about,
1500s?
the 1500s.
Is Mac paying attention?
Mac,
It's his favorite
it's the
event.
1500s. All right, so let's start ladies first.
Oh, here we go.
You know what? The ladies. I feel like I've been fooled a little bit this year.
Okay.
I don't know where we're going.
I don't know where we're going.
I feel like I've been fooled a little. Okay. Because I think this entire year everybody was like, oh, like things like she's switching to the 15. Like that's what she's gonna do. And then like when I talked to her today, she was like, 15 is for training. Don't even know if I'm gonna run the final. If we didn't have to run the 8 this year, we just weren't gonna do it. Like we're just going with whatever Kersey says. And I'm like, girl, you had me fooled. I thought we was changing events, but then when I asked her afterwards, she was like, who knows? I might actually do it next year. I might do the 4 next year. I could do whatever I want.
She's
At
keeping
this
us on our
point,
toes.
I'm just like, you had everyone fooled all year, and I
Really?
love that.
Were you fooled?
Did y'all not think she would switch? Y'all thought?
Absolutely
No,
not.
I never believed. No.
So none of y'all wanted to tell me. You just had me going around thinking she was switching events.
Well, it's-
yeah. I mean, like, I think, like,
What?
that's, yeah, no, she's
No,
never
well,
switching
the
events.
thing about the 15 is that the 800 is already brutal enough. Why would you want to do a completely other event that's the tactics are so different and you're not as good at it?
Also, like,
What?
Also, if you think about this, like, a
That's
thing
like
mo
the
is a thing
training.
mo in the 800. Like, she's got the gold medal, not on lock, I would say, but she's obviously like a medal threat no matter what. You're going to the 1500. You're gonna have to deal with Laura Muir and Faith Kipyegon.
She'd be 15
Okay,
seconds
track and
back.
field.
She wouldn't be on the same straightaway.
How do you know she can't have a 15-second PR?
So I saw Bobby Kersey.
Hey, we got
when I was walking
6
out of
seconds
stadium.
today.
Yeah, we got 6
I
seconds.
mean, we're going down. Come
We just
on,
need
have
another
some faith.
21 seconds.
What's wrong with that? It's easy.
She doesn't seem like she wants to do that.
Yeah, so I talked
Can't
to
be
Bobby Kersey
fooled.
really briefly as like I was walking out of the stadium, not like on camera or anything like that, but I said to him, I was like, good one from the thing today. And he goes, yeah, I'm just trying to get that girl to run more than 2 minutes. So, yeah, today was a good one. On to the final. It should be interesting. I don't necessarily.
Like I said, she don't even know she's gonna run the finals.
Yeah, honestly, like it would add intrigue if she is in it, but I
think that's honestly kind of a bummer that to take a spot from someone else and not run the final. I really don't like that.
Rules have changed at Worlds where they would take the next up.
Yeah,
I hope they would,
but I don't know if that.
I don't think that is rule.
So
it's just a bummer.
The first person out would be Anna Camp Bennett. If a thing chooses not to run, but
so
all right.
Addie Wiley and Corey McGee had a solid distance. The thing had a few meters back. They kind of went for it though.
Yeah, it was like
they were like actually racing. Fourth place was 4 seconds away, and these two were kind of battling. And Corey said, "Once I realized how bad she wanted it."
You're like, all right, you can have it.
I talked to Addie Wiley, and I asked her the same thing, and she's like, I'm young, I'm not tired. And I was like, okay, well.
That's an
all
awesome
right, Miss Girl, period.
I was like, there you go.
Also, is she calling Corey
Talk
old?
your shit then.
You know what?
Corey just
We are
turned 31.
old, and we are tired on this podcast.
I'll rest in my 30s.
So, Mac, you were shaking your head because of how hard that they ran in that heat. Why? I mean, you've coached women who have raced like at the U.S. Championships.
I think this works now. Yeah. I mean, it's just not necessary, but I think a lot of times, if
Is that a Miller Lite now that you've got in front of you?
It's a Coors Light. I mean, it's the only thing that's left in the fridge. I'm sorry. If you do feel really good and you're really confident that you are going to make the team, and I do think that like Corey is in this situation, and if you have it in the legs, you're just kind of like drag racing down the home stretch, and you're just trying to see what other people have, like what you have. Corey, I think, was really comfortable, but both of them, I believe, looking at this, closed in 42 for the last 300. And you just have to worry, and you just have to second guess, does that burn anything out of the legs getting into the final? Because you don't know what the final is going to be unless like you're going to control it from the front, and I don't think Corey is.
You don't think that's interesting? I think Corey would take it from the front in the final.
She's missing Ellie Purrier St. Pierre, who does that.
I think that Corey definitely benefits from having Ellie in the race, but I do think that Corey has. I feel like the difference between Corey today and a few years ago is she used to not know how to allocate her energy on that last lap. You'd often see her move really hard, 300 out, and then get to the final 50 and not have it anymore. And I kind of had this idea in my head of like, that's how Corey races. Like she moves too hard, too early. And then I think I've just been reminded that like seeing it today and just the whole season and obviously last year as well, is I think she figured that out. I think she has a much better idea of how far away the finish line is.
I agree. She's way more patient now. Over the last 2 years, she's gotten way more patient. Same thing. I think that she would get frustrated and make like an aggressive move just 50 meters too early. And, you know, I would say like I'm definitely rooting for her. Like she usually gets second. Like I would say deserves a win. I don't know.
It would be silly not to make this race go fast. There's just far too many people in it. And I think it's in Corey's best interest, or whoever wants to be up there, Sinclair, these girls who can run, 4 flat, sub 4 minutes. Why would you even leave the door open for anyone? We saw that on the men's side. Craig Engels got bumped out because it's like your kick is not always the best. You can't trust it. And I think it's within whoever wants to take its best interest, but it probably won't happen until 800 to go.
Kyle, do you think that any of the women are aggressive off the line and slow the first 400 meters down?
I think Sinclair can do whatever she wants right now. And it was kind of funny. Like Sinclair is, I just asked her like, hey, a thing made it. Does that like change anything having a 155 girl in the race? And she just kind of like laughed, and I kind of appreciated like how confident she's feeling. It's just like it's a 1500. This is not an 800. Like welcome, like a whole new world here. But I think Sinclair could. And she is my favorite. I like everyone equally, but for the race itself, she is my favorite. And I think she could just, if she wanted, just go out and probably solo a 357 and win it that way. And I think she can just let this thing jog and just control the last 400 meters and win it that way. If I was anyone else in this race, I don't know how I would beat Sinclair. the only person in my mind maybe is Heather.
Heather had her best day in a while. 4:07, season's best. Yeah, I mean, looks strong.
Yeah,
She's just had a slow get to it, and Heather is someone who races when she races a lot, gets really, really sharp. And I think when I spoke to her, she was like, I was more nervous than I've been for a race in many years today. So she felt uncomfortable out there. She's like, and then I got on the line, started racing. I was like, oh wait, I remember how to do this. I've been here before.
I'm going through in the field. I think Corey's strengths don't necessarily line up well with Sinclair in that head-to-head matchup. Heather, I think, has that explosive potential last 100, as does Nikki.
And then you
Whereas
have
Sinclair. When you're the favorite in a 1500, I think your best interest is generally like try to control the race and be the one winding it up that last 400 meters. I always think Centro did a really good job of that when he was the favorite at USA's. You know, you take over at some point and 600 to 400 to go and just be like, all right, everyone get in line. I'm just going to like negative split this thing and try to follow me and no one can get around. And I think that's what Sinclair should do. Max shaking his head yes. Max is very smart at certain things. And this is one of them, so I'm feeling validated right now.
And then you have Helen Schlachtenhofen, who has not made a team yet, and Emily Mackay from Team New Balance, who is really coming on dark horse, super strong. So I'm very, very excited to see this final, and I'd love to see some new faces on Team USA.
All right, shifting gears to the men's 1500.
There will be no new faces on Team USA.
That's your take? I think
I
there'll
don't
be
think
one.
so.
I think there'll be one.
You have Corey, a thing, Sinclair, Heather, Nikki.
I think a Helen or an Emily will sneak on.
How? Like, what do they have to do?
To sneak on?
Yeah, what's their play?
I think Emily, like Mackay, is like sneaky strong.
Should she take it?
I don't think she'll take it, but I think like whoever it is, it will be like it'll be the perfect positioning, and you'll get sent around that last 150 on the rail. You'll be in the right spot, and you'll be able to slingshot yourself and have the entire field in your vision. So you'll be on like the outside of like lane 2, lane 3, and you have to see what's actually going on and maybe like file up.
Yeah. Nikki's last 100 though over Emily today. Like Nikki exploded.
Yeah. That was
If this race is like 4:03-ish, like Nikki's the auto lock of it. Everyone
making it?
Yes. I would just say if it's fast, if someone decides that they want to like run what's far flat 64s, if someone wants to come through in 207, 208, like Nikki generally doesn't commit to that.
Yeah.
But has a couple times, and like I think that they can run well off of that. But if it's slower than that, like Nikki's an auto lock over that last 100.
All right, we're going to shift gears to the men's 1500. We got like a garbage truck or something like that nearby us. So I want to preserve the audio and our listeners' earbuds here.
Upset.
Men's 1500, fastest time of the day, Yard Nagoose, just kind of
Looked
taking the
incredible.
reins of his heat, running 335, fast section. Also, like the most stacked one where coming into it, you had Yard Nagoose, Joe Wascom, Johnny Gregoric, Josh Thompson, Nathan Green, Matthew Century. It's like those are all the people that I think I highlighted in a tweet being like, this heat's ridiculous. And that was the order that they finished. Out of that heat, all the little cues came out of it as a result, with Matt Centrowitz sneaking in as the last man in.
Josh Thompson sneak in.
Josh Thompson also sneaked in, who was the only American to make the final last year at the World Championships. Then Heat 2, you had Sam Prakel, Hobbs Kessler, Eric Holt advance. Heat 3, Cole Hawker, Drew Hunter, Henry Wynn, and with a lean at the finish line that meant that U.S. champion Cooper Tier is not going to be making it in this event. So he'll get his redemption chance in the 5K, but Kyle,
I did not see this coming.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I like Cooper. I thought he was going to make the team. He was on my pick.
This didn't help our like case where it's like people don't think of Cooper enough as a 1500 guy.
I would rather Cooper not make the final than make the final and not make the team.
Right.
Because let's just focus on the 5K. And that's the difference between him and just about all the other guys in this race, is that he has that
second option.
That second option to be able to shift and, all right, let's do the 5K. And now he has a few days in order to recover, reset, and So it sucks he did not make the final, but I think it might be a blessing in disguise that it happened today and not on Saturday.
Andy Powell coaches about half the guys in this final. Mac, as a Andy Powell disciple, what is this final potentially going to look like from your experience working with the guy and like the final instructions on how this race is going to play out?
Andy is pretty focused and deliberate about individuals' race plans. So what I'm curious about, though, is if he's going to set this up for one person, which he will sometimes do. Like, if the group kind of knows that someone's only like a 5th or 6th or 7th or 12th place individual on, that sort of year or that weekend, they might be used. And like that athlete knows it. No. That athlete absolutely knows it. Like it's part of the cause. It's part of getting someone into the team and onto a team or into a final or anything like that.
This is an individual sport, Mac.
It's not when you coach multiple people in the same event.
But here's Mac. I hear you in a different situation, but
I don't
possibly.
I say that, and I don't think that that's happening. I don't think that any of them
Joe
are taking lead.
Really good.
Who?
And he didn't stop he didn't stop doing mix-up. All biz.
I mean, yeah. This is.
Can I just say that this is why this is the best event in track and field? Because it's the only event where tactics can win and lose. Like, you can win and lose significant. Like, you can alter your place so significantly off of your own personal decisions, and it's not just fitness. If you go to the 400 and you go to the 800, it's way more fitness-based. The 1500, it really, really, really matters on how you position yourself from the gun to the finish line.
So what about like a Matt Centrowitz? You guys, he was hanging out, watching the races, waiting to see if he got a little
He
cue.
was trying. He wanted it slow.
He wanted it slow. He got it, and immediately react. So
talk about like a tactician that we know.
So
There's no
it was
way.
funny because here's the thing.
Jared lets it go slow.
No. But and like he doesn't have the world championship standard. There's a lot of guys in here.
Rankings coming though.
The rankings.
It's time too.
Now, I made this comparison. I'm finally ready to, I think, kind of put it out on the show and the podcast about how like Matt Centrowitz to men in their 30s is the equivalent of Tiger Woods to like all golf fans, where it's sort of like you just can never discount the guy. Like coming into this championships, there was just this hope that like this little sliver of like Centra's still going to make this team. And in the same way with Tiger Woods, you just never count him out. The man came back from knee surgery and a car accident, and people still don't count him out at a major tournament. And that's kind of the same way with guys like you, our kind of generation. It's like that's how we feel about Centrowitz and a U.S. Championships. And today, he's just makes it through. That sliver of hope is still there. There's a chance. But the way he was talking when he did a really long interview in the mix zone, and there was already questions about like, is 2024 going to be your final year? And all this different stuff.
Too long of an interview?
It was a long interview where like at the point like I even asked him, was like, we were talking about the fact that he didn't make it to the next round. And
I was so confused why you guys were talking for so long. I was like, what is the vibe here?
The vibe was the season's it's over. I didn't make it through to the next round. And so he's talking about how like I even asked him, I was like, Central, how many more weeks did we need? Like in order for you to like be ready to make this team? And so he was like, man, it's so hard to gauge. Like it's so tough seasons. Even it's a really interesting watch now if you go and check out that interview because it's like Centrowitz assuming that he didn't make it through. And then we also posted him reacting to making it through. And I don't know. It's just sort of the Tiger Woods comparison that I drew is just sort of like, there's a chance, guys. There's a chance he makes the team. It's not crazy to have that belief and hope. Or do you think it is crazy?
I mean, I don't. I just don't think it's going slow. Is my main thought.
He talked about this also in the interview. I'm like now all of a sudden Matt Centrowit's defender on this show. But he's
My
like,
friend Matthew.
it's because he's got CITIUS tattooed on his back but he had it first. But it was just, it's the fact that he has this rep of like, I don't win fast races. It's like he's got the Olympic trials record. That's, I guess, the straight line that he kind of delivered in the mix zone. But there's a chance, Kyle.
So any Yared's a lock.
I don't see how Yared doesn't.
Mac does not think Yared's a lock. Or coming into this championships,
Ooh,
you have been
he's outing you.
You're the most critical guy of Yared at tactics and at championships. Has that changed?
Yeah, I would say it's changed what I think is going to happen based off of how he ran today. But I've been way wrong. I thought Cooper was my pick to win.
Oh, Mac.
Mac, what do you
turn his mic off.
Yeah, no, right? No, I thought that Cooper, because I thought Yared was going to be able to take the pace. I thought Cooper was the guy to be able to sit in second.
I like that idea.
And outkick him, because Cooper also usually has that crazy last 100. It didn't have it today. He I don't know if he's been banged up or if he just had an off day, but yeah, Cooper was previously my pick to win. So yeah, I'm way off on this, but I think Yared and everyone at OAC and Dathan has just recognized that
they're just like
Yared's fit enough to lead. He can lead. He's comfortable leading. There's people that are way more comfortable out front, and he's just going to do exactly what he did today and just turn the screws. What happens behind him, I have no clue, because, I mean, Prakel looked that's the best Prakel's ever looked.
I was going to say, we're just going to totally sleep on Prakel here.
That's the best Prakel's ever looked. He had
mentioned yet.
He had his first turn was in lane 1. His second turn, he was way out in lane 3, which is where he usually is, and that's where I'm critical of him. Cole.
I'm kind of upset how not hard Cole had to try.
Yeah. He
He
also
had a
had
great
a
interview
good
as well.
draw.
It doesn't seem fair that he got to try that little.
He said that he saw the first heat, saw the time, didn't see the second heat. It was just like, yeah, I did what had to be done.
Yeah.
Next.
That almost told us nothing with Cole.
About Cole?
I don't feel like
He's flying under the radar, and that's good. I mean, I respect what we trade in the group chat that we have, but there was a point at some point where you fired off the text that was just like, Cole Hocker could be the guy to beat Jakob, if he gets to the stage. I mean, everyone else has tried, and it's like, all right,
we don't know what Cole.
We just don't know with Cole. That was another thing that Centro talked about. I ran him through a nice hypothetical. I'm just telling people, you have to go watch this interview, because at the very end I was like, all right, so master tactician Matt Centrowitz in his prime, how would you have tried to beat Jakob Ingebrigtsen? And he walks us through a whole scenario.
He's like,
so
I'm
it's
getting
good.
326 shape.
He was like, oh, we're playing fantasy track now, and I was like, yeah, answer the question. Anyway,
Johnny G
okay,
thrives in the final in a fast race. And what he did today was a little example of it. He said that today's race was exactly like the 2017 World Championship final, in which they go out kind of conservative, and then you have to change gears. And then if you slow down a little, people kind of underestimate how hard it is to be changing gears in the middle of a 1500. You just look at a split and you think, oh, every 1200 split is equivalent. The way you get there is very, very different. The changing of pace really takes a lot out of you. They say in the 800 you have one move. In the 1500, I think you have two moves. But Johnny makes this team when the race goes fast, and that's because no one in this race has been at 1,200 meters in 250, 251 more in their career than Johnny here. And I hope Yared just takes him there and watch Johnny clean up the last 200. He did it today in what was a 335, 336 race. If this thing turns into a 332, 333 race, Johnny's on the team.
All right, so there we go. We got it out of our system. It was like, I'm standing Matt Centrowitz, and I'm standing Johnny Bemorek.
Who do you got? Anyone? Dana? Any Dartmouth guys in there?
Eric Gold.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go. Someone has to be on his team.
Another funny part about the Matt Centrowitz interview that I'm very
Oh my God. Might as well have just played the whole interview at this point.
is that he's giving a really good answer to some question, and
Okay, Chris.
Okay.
Eric Holt just plants himself next to him. After
It's very loud.
And Eric Holt is so loud that you could tell that Matt Centrowitz is just struggling to hear his own thoughts at that point. So, again, watch the Matt Centrowitz.
Caitlin, you have to make a pick. Who's your guy?
Here's the list.
Yard.
Oh, all right.
There you go.
You've seen what you've needed to see.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. There you have it.
What?
So,
I just want to do one more shout out. I asked the questions in the lap count this week of like, hey, what should I talk about? I swear, like 90% of the questions were just wanting to talk about the 1500.
okay.
So I feel validated.
We should have a bonus
all right,
episode.
So here's what we'll do.
Josh Thompson,
He made it in. He snuck in.
always
Ask Caitlin about Josh Thompson.
always finds a way.
Yeah. All right.
That's it.
You got it. Well, I think what we can do, because we have this set up,
1500
is
after
1500
dark.
1500 meter breakdown. Mac and Kyle will just go on for 2 hours. We'll stream that or something like that with just screenshots or whatever we can do to, skirt around the rules a little bit. That does it for day one. In the multis, we saw Anna Halls leading in the decathlon, no surprise there. Heptathlon. And then the decathlon, Harrison Williams is the leader right now. But yeah, I believe that's it. So tomorrow is day 2. Action starts. The first final is at 6:40 p.m. Pacific time. Action on the track starts at 5:53 Pacific time. The finals that we've got tomorrow: women's high jump, men's triple jump, women's 100, men's 100. And we're going to bring you all the interviews. There's 60-plus interviews on our YouTube channel right now for you to consume. We're grinding out here. Be sure to subscribe on the CITIUS MAG Podcast. Make sure to smash the subscribe button so you get all of those interviews and alerts when we go live. And
Tell your friends.
tell your friends. Many thanks to Under Armour for supporting all of CITIUS MAG's coverage of the 2023 U.S. Outdoor Track and Field Championships. I love track and field.
I love it.
We love it so much.
All right, that does it. Good night, everyone, and we will see you guys tomorrow.